Hey, what is up, guys? Blunt Cuts here. This is a Watch Your Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I do appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe if you do enjoy my content. I'm going to try to give you a brief rundown of my thoughts on this weekend's banners. Obviously, we've got Lust Arrogance coming tomorrow. This is a banner that I have been waiting for forever. I'm going to be dumping all of my summons into this one, honestly. I've got almost 1,500 summons right now. They are all going to be going into Lust Arrogance. I might do one pity manipulation to go onto the Silas banner, but in my mind, this banner right here is just pure gold. If you don't have Arrogance, you got to be pulling like I am. I've been pining for Arrogance forever, and I think I'm finally going to get him either tomorrow or Friday. Lust is an incredible hero as well, but Arrogance in my mind is really the front runner here, and Lust is important in so much as she buffs Arrogance. But you know, there are some PvE uses for both of these heroes. I'd say Arrogance is the more flexible unit. Lust certainly does bring a lot to the table as well, and certainly in like boss killing content, she's just phenomenal. So I mean, Guild Boss 2, Guild Boss 1, a lot of different areas of the game where she is just incredible, and I think that there is a case to be made for her being the best exclusive in the game right now, and I think that's going to include Kagiri when he does come out, who I think looks like he might be kind of potentially niche powerful, but I don't know that he's really going to be as good as a lot of folks are kind of building him up to be. That's just my perspective. You know, all this stuff is kind of subject to change, obviously. And keep in mind, I'm coming at this from a endgame player. Like I have been playing this game for nearly a year at this point. I've beaten all the content. I have a very fleshed out account, and you know, I don't spend a lot on it personally, but I do get a lot of rewards from Moonton, and so I have a lot more than, you know, the average player that's been playing for a year and has spent the amount that I would have. So that's just my perspective. I think these two are the best two heroes that are going to be on banners this weekend by a pretty significant margin. So if you are going to be summoning regular summons, I think this is where you should focus. Now, Silas and Vierna are great heroes in their own right. Obviously, you know, we've got kind of like Bond skill weekend. It's important to have one copy of every single one of these, I think, anyway. And so if you don't have copies of either Silas or Vierna, I think it's well worth it to pull on here and try to get a copy of each to make sure that you have that Bond skill active. Silas is just a badass motherfucker once you have him at bond skilled up with Vierna. So that is super important. And you know, if you don't have that, you are missing out. That said, I don't think that he's like the unstoppable force that he was when the game first came out. He is great, really good hero, does some really unique things, probably the best burst damage in the game, even at this point, even at A0. I think he is that. Mine is A0 right now, and that is, you know, I'd love to get more copies of him, but it's not a priority because there's really only a couple slots where I really need him right now. And I like I said, endgame perspective, I am looking at this from like a GVG lens almost exclusively. That is what drives my decision making. That's why Lust Arrogance is so big for me, because Arrogance is such an amazing hero in GVG that I really need to have him, especially with my fucking A4 Torador. Who knows, maybe he's A5 after this weekend with all these summonings. But yeah, I mean, look, Silas is really good. Vierna, not so much anymore. I mean, she's a fine hero, but she's just not as useful anymore. I think really her primary use right now, the only place where she really makes a significant impact and her skill set is really fully utilized would be in Gear Dungeon 1. That is an important spot to have her, but there are ways to work around that. You don't necessarily need her, and that's kind of the issue with Silas as well. You don't really need Silas. I don't think that he's not necessary anymore. There are workarounds for pretty much everything. The only time you really need him is if you were like competing for codexes. I think that's the only spot where he really stands apart at this point. If you talk like anti-air arena, there are other options. GVG, he chews through demon soldiers like nobody's business, but he's entirely dependent on his ultimate, which means he's very easy to bait, which means he's good, not great. I don't even, good is probably not even covering it. He's not really like crossing that threshold for me at this point. And you know, this is specific to Overlord Arena. He's going to be, again, below a lot of like the very endgame stuff. This is, he's a great hero. I don't want this to come off as like, you know, sometimes I get people saying in my comments like, why are you shitting on this hero? He's a phenomenal hero. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that, you know, if you were trying to think long term about your account, I don't know that Silas is going to do all that much for you, and if you're a pretty progressed account at this point. Again, unless you're looking to like compete on codexes, I think there's a couple of spots where he's really, really good in codexes. Certainly the marksman codex, he's certainly really good in the six codex as well. I think that's the healer codex is he made an appearance recently. A lot of folks are using him there, but you probably need him A5 to really be competing with the folks that are using him in those spots. So, you know, I don't know. I just, mine is a hero. He works just fine. And I compete on plenty of codexes as well. Not the ones we just named, but you know, I don't know that you really need to be pulling specifically for him. Pity manipulation, get that free legendary. Yeah, I'd say go for that. But really, Lust Arrogance is where you should be spending all of your summons, in my opinion. As far as ancient summons, yeah, you could go for this. I kind of feel like Eovar is similar to Silas in this way, though. He's a great hero. But in my mind, as far as like ancient exclusive legendary lords, he's probably, I'd say, fifth. I have him behind, obviously Praetus, Ingrid, and Valderon. I have him behind. I have him behind Cyrus for me personally, too, because of my GVG focus. I would say, you know, it could be kind of a toss-up between him and Gon, depending on where your priorities are. I think that Eovar is really good. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't think me personally, I don't want to specifically pull on this banner. Now, if you don't have Carnelian, you might want to pull on it, especially if you don't have either of these heroes. Then this would be a great spot to pull because Eovar is really good, and Carnelian is basically required for a lot of endgame content as far as like GB2 is concerned. She is one of the two best healers in GVG as well, so that is certainly something that you want to make a priority in my mind. So if you don't have a copy of Carnelian, I would certainly be pulling on this banner. Hell, I'd probably be doing it even if I had Eovar, because you know, awakenings on Eovar aren't going to be the worst thing in the world, but Carnelian is going to really open things up for your account at endgame and some of the late game content right now. So I think she could certainly be worth it from that perspective. But yeah, I guess that's my spiel, really. I wanted to keep this relatively brief. I'm not going to go into the specifics about the heroes and their skills and all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of other videos that are covering this topic that are a lot longer and are giving you a lot more detail on that. But I wanted to come in and just kind of toss out, you know, from an endgame player who is just really into progressing their account. This is how I'm looking at this weekend, and to my mind, the big one that you can't miss is this. And largely it's because, you know, one, if you don't have Lust, you need that to enable Arrogance. Two, it's just a great banner to pull on. You know, you only have the opportunity to pull for Lust, you know, once every, when last time was in February, so that was 7 months ago. So once every 7 months, apparently. She'll probably be back again for Valentine's Day, so you're probably going to have to wait another 5 months for that. But getting a copy of her guaranteed at 250 is just hard to pass up in my mind. And if you don't have Arrogance A5, then this is a great opportunity to be pulling on a banner with two triple S tier heroes in my mind. That's just where my head's at. In any case, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I will catch you all next time.